Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. So today sees the last in my Kings of War Vanguard week videos, and I thought I'd round out the week by telling you why Kings of War Vanguard is different and why you should play it. First up is the power dice. Now they bring a real feeling of mitigation of the look of a dice roll, and they allow you to try and help those really important moments go in your favour. Now with the power dice, there's also an element of hand management there as well, as there are some times in the game where you'll want to hold back those power dice to enable you to remove fatigue from your models, and so you get those shall I, shan't I moments that really make you mull over the consequences. Spending them to spring those group activations too, to make sure you finish activating all of your models first, and therefore get the first turn next round, is also a really good feeling. The addition of different coloured power dice, which have higher amount on some of the faces and less blank sides, also gives stretch to the different possible combinations and allows some models to bring more to the battle without making them feel overpowered. The power dice really do bring a non-complicated tactical layer to the game, which also makes it really fun. Next up is the ability to fatigue your models. Being able to push your warband that little further and fatigue the models introduces another element of unpredictability that your opponent needs to deal with, and you need to deal with of your opponent too. That moment of will they or won't they when their model is out of sight and they use a long action to run it right up to you and then fatigue your model just to get in that swing and strike really does feel very thematic. That last ditch effort to try and take down the enemy. It also brings consequences to consider too. So if you want to fatigue your model to get that last swing in against them, just remember when they come and hit you back, you won't be able to retaliate. So it's knowing when you should and when you shouldn't use that fatigue action. There's a real balance to that risk versus consequences mechanic in the game, and it brings in another element of tactical choice making for both players. Next up, exploding D8s. Using D8s, which in my opinion are drastically underused in wargaming, is a really good choice. I know Mantic do use them in quite a few of their games, such as Dreadball or Dead Zone. However, there's a reason why it's a really good choice. It just stretches out that stat line enough, so if you upgrade your model with extra equipment or magical items, it doesn't make your models feel overpowered. They do feel stronger and more dangerous, but never to the point where it breaks the game and they're just automatically hitting on a 2+. Now the inclusion of Exploding 8 is reason enough to have a D8 dice in the game anyway. If you were to use a D6, an Exploding 6 would happen far too often and make things feel very unbalanced. Exploding D8s give those moments in the game that you talk about for days afterwards. Can you remember when my grunt model was attacked by your beast and I rolled 4 8s in a row to save him? Games that make you relive those moments make you want to play it again and again. Now I want to talk about the miniatures themselves. If you've never bought a Mantic miniature before, you need to pick up one of these. Now, unfairly in my opinion, there's always been a little bit of noise that Mantic miniatures are maybe not as good as some of their competitors. But if you look at any of the models from The Walking Dead, from Dungeon Saga, from Star Saga, from the recent Kickstarter for Hellboy, and more importantly, the Vanguard miniatures, you'll know that that's just not true. Some of these Vanguard miniatures have such sharp, crisp detail to them that if a certain other miniatures games company had released them, the internet would be raving about just how good they are. You really do need to see these in the flesh to appreciate them. There's enough detail in these models that if you're an average painter, much like me, then they'll take washes fantastic and really will bring out that detail. And if you're one of the more talented painters out there, you'll really appreciate the quality of the sculpts. I'm a really big fan of these miniatures, and I know that when you get them in your own hands, you'll understand why I think that these are a real big selling point for this game. Lastly is the rules for Vanguard themselves. Now, personally, I think there's no denying that the rules for Vanguard are not only simple to pick up and learn, but really intuitive when actually playing the game. They're also very thematic, they're deep with tactics, and the list building with equipment options just takes it on to another level too. Matt Gilbert and the team that supported him to write these rules have created a rule set that isn't Kings of War light, or isn't just purely there as a vehicle to sell more models to people who don't really want to do a mass battle game. They've created what, in my opinion, is one of the slickest, most fun to play rule sets that can be scaled from a 4 to 5 model 100-point game up to a competitive 200-point game and all the way up to an all-encompassing campaign system. along with everything in between. If you want to run a fast hour-long game on a Tuesday night when your gaming buddy comes around, this'll do it. If you want to run a campaign day at your local gaming store one weekend, this will perfectly hit the spot. It's adaptable and the rules are deep enough that it'll really keep you interested for some time, and the way that it links in with Kings of War is frankly a really great bonus. The 12 scenarios that are included in the rulebook are both thematic and narrative driven, whilst also offering a competitive challenge to the players. Overall, I feel that they've created a game that really does need to be played to be fully appreciated. So I'm sure, as you can tell, after I've done 5 videos this week on Kings of War Vanguard, I really am a big fan of the game, and there'll certainly be more of that to look forward to on this channel. I can't wait to pick up those extra warbands that I don't have my hands on at the moment, so I'll be waiting along with everyone else for that October launch. If you've enjoyed my Kings of War Vanguard coverage, let me know down in the comments. Why not consider subscribing? And I hope to see you in future videos where you'll see more Kings of War Vanguard and much more from Mantic Games and the rest of the wargaming world. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.